How can thousands of people predict the night when hundreds of red lights will rise silently over the Mekong River? The legend credits a giant serpent. But are these lights even one phenomenon? This is the mystery of the Naga fireballs. The viewing areas lie mainly in Nong Khai province, especially Phon, Phisai, and Rattanawapi. Across the water is Laos, close enough for distant lights to confuse distance, direction, and origin. The night is Wan Ok Phansa, the full moon end of the Buddhist rain retreat. Families arrive early, roads fill, vendors open, and crowds claim places beside the river before darkness falls. Then someone points. A reddish globe appears low over the black river, climbs for several seconds, and vanishes. There may be no obvious explosion, falling sparks, smoke, or sound. One light becomes several. Each appearance triggers cheers from the Thai bank. Yet the darkness makes a basic fact surprisingly difficult to determine. Did the object rise from the water at all? That uncertainty sits at the center of the mystery. A distant projectile can look vertical when viewed nearly head-on. A launch from the opposite bank can appear to begin on the river. Local descriptions vary. Witnesses report red, pink, or orange lights, with different sizes, heights, and durations. That variation could come from imperfect observation, or from fundamentally different objects sharing one name. To understand why the lights matter, the investigation must begin with what they mean. Here, the river is not merely a border or waterway. It belongs to a sacred landscape. The Phaya Naga is a powerful serpent or water being in regional tradition. During Wan Ok Phansa, the fireballs are understood by many as an offering welcoming the Buddha at the end of his heavenly retreat. This belief is real, living, and culturally important. It explains the light's religious meaning. It does not by itself establish what physical object produces each glow seen over the river. Imagine the older riverbank before television crews and mass tourism. A lone light rises in the distance, and its explanation travels through families rather than laboratories, cameras, or official reports. Local oral histories describe the phenomenon across generations. A 93-year-old resident told reporters in 2003 that he had seen the light since childhood. That supports long memory, not centuries of continuous scientific documentation. The modern story is more recent. Researcher Eric Cohen recorded accounts suggesting that older spirit fireballs became strongly linked to the Phaya Naga narrative in the early 1990s. That does not mean the lights began then. It means their public identity changed. A loose local mystery acquired a stronger sacred story, a recognizable date, and eventually a major audience. Around 2000, tourism and provincial authorities promoted the event more heavily. Ceremonies, fairs, performances, food stalls, parking, accommodation, and souvenirs grew around the promised appearance of the lights. Reported attendance reached roughly 150,000 in 2001 and perhaps 400,000 in 2002, though those historical estimates were not part of one standardized census. The mystery had become an economic event. Economic importance does not prove fraud. Real places often build tourism around uncertain stories. But once livelihoods, religious identity, and provincial pride depend on a mystery, testing it becomes socially explosive. The explosion came in late 2002. A Thai television investigation called Code Cracking claimed it had filmed activity on the Laos side that could turn a sacred river spectacle into something man-made. The program reportedly filmed from a boat and interpreted the lights as tracer ammunition fired from Laos. Tracer rounds contain burning material that makes their path visible through darkness. Viewed from far away, a glowing projectile coming partly toward the observer can seem to climb, hover, or disappear. Perspective compresses its path, while distance can hide the gunshot or launch site. This offered a simple answer to one puzzle: why apparent river lights might actually begin on land. But it immediately opened another. Could the program connect each recorded launch to a specific light seen by spectators? The broadcast ignited outrage. Residents and officials argued that television had reduced a sacred tradition to a hoax. The dispute was no longer only about light. It was about who controlled the river's story. Contemporary summaries confirm that the documentary and backlash happened. What the surviving public record does not provide is a complete forensic package, linking synchronized launch footage, spectator views, precise locations, and every reported fireball. The tracer theory therefore gained evidence, but not universal proof. It could explain some lights without proving that all observations across multiple locations and years had one human source. Thailand's Ministry of Science and Technology responded with an inquiry. In 2003, a team led by Deputy Permanent Secretary Saksit Tridek examined soil and water in the river environment. Contemporary reports said the team considered a natural incident connected to chemical and physical river conditions, monsoon flooding, and decomposing organic material. This is often shortened into one confident phrase: swamp gas. But that phrase overstates the result. The ministry's public account described an initial hypothesis and said another year of research was needed. It did not announce that methane or phosphine had been measured igniting during a sighting. A gas explanation faces difficult questions. How does material released near water ignite? Why would it form bright, compact objects? And how could those objects travel along the short, clean paths witnesses describe? Those questions do not make a natural mechanism impossible. They show why a proposed mechanism needs measurements. Gas concentration, ignition conditions, spectra, temperature, trajectory, and timing during the actual event. The reviewed public sources do not contain a final reproducible study supplying those measurements. The ministry inquiry was real and meaningful, but its cautious preliminary language was later hardened into a conclusion it had not demonstrated. So the first two major explanations reached the same barrier. The tracer claim lacked a complete public reconstruction. The natural claim lacked a demonstrated event time mechanism. Neither closed the case. The central question returned. If the lights were truly predictable, why had no investigation placed synchronized observers and cameras on both riverbanks to establish where each one began? The controversy resurfaced through citizen investigation. Accounts attributed to Sompop Kamsawat described observers on the Laos side allegedly documenting tracer rounds and fireworks, including launches from boats, during a 2012 field effort. The account named an associate, Thanavarakit Kuntawapinyo, and referred to photographs or video. Naming witnesses makes a claim testable. It does not automatically make the resulting material a verified scientific study. The publicly accessible record reviewed for this story lacks original resolution files, documented chain of custody, confirmed weapon identification, trajectory reconstruction, and independent replication. The material remains an important lead, not a verdict. In 2021, Sompop's group renewed the allegation. Reports said they submitted photographs, video clips, and a list of Lao villages to the Lao embassy, claiming flare guns were being used. Some local witnesses rejected the comparison. They argued that the submitted images did not resemble the silent round lights they had watched. Eyewitness confidence matters, but darkness and distance can make confidence unreliable. Then came an unusually strong objection. Lao authorities said that pandemic restrictions, curfews, and heavy police presence made undetected weapon or flare launches highly unlikely during the 2021 period. That denial weakens a simple story in which villagers freely fired weapons without notice. Yet, it is still an official denial reported through the media, not independent surveillance, proving that no human launch occurred. The lockdown did not prove the lights were natural. The renewed allegations did not prove they were flares. Instead, each side supplied evidence about what seemed unlikely, while leaving the objects themselves unidentified. 2 years later, Chulalongkorn University science professor Jesada Denduang Boripont focused on photography. Normal exposures appeared to show round glowing orbs. Longer exposures showed red streaks resembling projectiles. A camera records light across time. If a point moves while the shutter remains open, it becomes a line. That supports motion, but the line alone does not identify a bullet, flare, firework, or another moving source. To identify a projectile, investigators would want original image metadata, exact lens and exposure settings, observer coordinates, angular motion, a known launch point, and a matched recording from another location. Without that geometry, perspective keeps winning. A light racing across the border can appear to rise from the river. A flare approaching the viewer can shrink into a floating dot before suddenly vanishing. But a projectile explanation must also fit the reported silence, timing, number of sights, and repeated appearances. It must explain who launches the objects, from where, under what coordination, and why clear documentation remains incomplete. On one 2023 festival night, television stations reportedly counted 289 fireballs across Phon, Phisai, and Ratanawapi. The first reported sighting came at 5:45 in the evening, followed by sightings at named villages. A count of 289 establishes that broadcasters recorded many reported appearances. It does not establish 289 identical objects. Different observers may count the same light, while unrelated fireworks may enter the total. This is where the single phenomenon assumption begins to fail. The festival contains known fireworks. Skeptics report projectiles. Witnesses describe round lights. Researchers proposed river chemistry. These categories may overlap without sharing one cause. The controversy follows a repeating sequence. Promotion around 2000. The ITV tracer claim in 2002, the ministry inquiry in 2003, renewed flare allegations in 2021, and photographic arguments in 2023. Each episode produced headlines, arguments, and partial evidence. None produced the one observation that matters most. Multiple calibrated instruments recording the same object from known positions on both sides of the river. Such an experiment could answer basic questions. Triangulation could locate the path. Spectroscopy could identify burning material. Acoustic sensors could detect distant launches. Gas sampling could test the natural hypothesis during an appearance. Investigators would also need to separate classes before explaining them. Round lights, long streaks, exploding fireworks, reflections, and misidentified aircraft should not be combined merely because spectators saw them on the same night. Now picture the decisive moment. One red object erupts into view, while cameras on both banks rotate together. Its path, spectrum, sound, and exact origin appear on synchronized screens before the light fades. That experiment has not been demonstrated in the reviewed public record. This is a limitation of the available sources, not proof that no relevant material exists anywhere. The distinction protects the investigation from false certainty. Meanwhile, the festival continues. Religious rituals, boat processions, markets, performances, almsgiving, exhibitions, and long boat races surround the viewing night. The fireballs now anchor a much larger cultural event. Provincial figures for 2025 reported 287 fireballs and about 31,500 visitors. The previous year's reports listed 371 fireballs and 141,381 visitors, a sharp decline in attendance and a smaller decline in lights. Those numbers do not reveal why either total changed. Weather, visibility, counting methods, crowd locations, human activity, or real variation could all matter. A tally without a fixed protocol cannot isolate the cause. The decline does not prove the phenomenon is disappearing. It does not establish climate effects, expose a hoax, or confirm a natural cycle. It only shows how easily measured-looking numbers can exceed their evidence. By July 7, 2026, Nong Khai authorities were already preparing Miracle of Naga, the essence of Nong Khai 2026. Institutional investment continues, even though the physical controversy remains unresolved. That persistence is not suspicious by itself. The festival preserves local worship, community participation, regional identity, and income. A cultural event can remain valuable even if its central physical claim changes under investigation. The strongest conclusion is therefore narrower than either popular answer. No reviewed evidence physically establishes a mythical serpent. No public natural model has demonstrated the full event. No projectile record explains every sighting. The safest working model is a mixed phenomenon. Some lights may be fireworks, flares, tracer-like projectiles, aircraft, reflections, or optical mistakes. A natural source remains possible, but it has not been demonstrated. This model is plausible because reports differ in color, path, height, location, and duration. It remains unproven because no synchronized study has yet separated the categories during the same festival night. The mystery may survive precisely because every side asks one explanation to cover every light. Belief, tourism, journalism, science, and border politics then compete over a category that may never have contained one object. The Naga fireballs are unquestionably real, as reports, memories, rituals, photographs, arguments, and a recurring festival. What remains unsettled is the physical origin of each light placed beneath that famous name. Perhaps the final answer will not identify one secret hiding in the Mekong. It may reveal that several ordinary and unusual lights were woven into one extraordinary legend. Which explanation do you think accounts for most sightings?